Are you someone that plays it small, worried about rejection? And what if the winning move is to actually think big, protect your downside, and relentlessly push harder and persist more than anybody else? Today, we're going to be talking Trump, The Art of the Deal by Donald J. Trump himself. Whether you like him or love him or leave him, you have to admit and admire his business abilities. We're going to talk about that today in The Art of the Deal. Trump actually lays out bold, unapologetic deal-making strategies that propelled him into the real estate stratosphere, and then obviously tactics that he used to get the presidential election. So by the end of this video, you will know how to apply his think big mindset, how to protect your downside, and lead with persistence to win your individual sales battles. The plan is that we're going to unpack key principles of thinking big, protecting your downside, and listening deeply to what people value, and then leading with relentless effort through hands-on servant leadership. Now, key principle number one that I got from the entire book is to just think big. Think way bigger than you're possibly imagining right now. Now, if you're gonna be thinking, you might as well think big. You might as well dream as big as you possibly can, because if that becomes your reality, imagine how good that could be. If you look at anybody in history, the Wright brothers, Steve Harvey, George Washington, Thomas Edison, all these big names that you can think of, they all thought big and they dreamt of a bigger vision. When you're doing deals, think big. And if you're not thinking that big, think even bigger. In sales, set crazy quotas, crazy big goals, moonshots, and envision yourself achieving these really, really big results and really see it in your head. Your brain does not know the difference between thought and reality. So I personally, as a sports psychologist, would utilize the power of visualization and meditations to think big and utilize this brain pathway process to make your dreams a reality. I personally have manifested and thought of and dreamt of so many big things in my life, like owning a house, having a family, and it's all coming to fruition. Ultimately, I'm going to be able to grow this business because of the vision that I have. Think big and have a big vision. Number two is to protect your downside. In every single deal, there's a negative. Somebody could be losing something in some way or another. So you want to minimize it as much as possible. A quote from Trump: "I always go into the deal anticipating the worst. If you can live with the worst, then the good will take care of itself." Think about the worst case scenario in any deal that you're going to do. And then if you're like, well, worst case scenario, it actually ends up being pretty decent. Then make the deal and maximize your opportunity on the upside. An example of this that he shared in his book is when he was buying a casino for Atlantic City. The city was not approved for being able to have casinos yet, but he went in and he did all the groundwork, did a lot of studying on whether or not it was going to be available to be a place to gamble. But he didn't want to buy a property with the potential downside of what if that law never passes? Then this whole hotel and this whole building wouldn't be beneficial for me. So he waited. He waited until the law officially passed. But what happens as soon as the law passes? Well, as soon as the law passes, all of the real estate in the area skyrockets. So the hotel suddenly became 5 times more expensive than it would have been if he jumped on it at an earlier opportunity. This was his worst case scenario on his potential downsides for this deal, which I really like because he didn't go into it with blind faith, think it would work. He went into it knowing that he's going to pay a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it still was a profitable casino and has made him millions and millions of dollars. So if you can get rid of that downside risk and make sure it's a good deal, take the opportunity, make sure it's a good deal. It will help you in the long term. So for sales, use fallback strategies. So have ways to follow up with people, backup offers, downsells, upsells, have manners that you can use in a negotiation so that you can come out with a potential worst case scenario that's still good for you. Principle number 3 that I want to talk about here is to maximize your opportunity through different options, getting as much on the table as you possibly can. Another quote directly from Trump in the book is, "I never get too attached to one deal. I keep a lot of balls in the air." And at the very beginning of this book, it kind of blew my mind. He was taking call after call after call after call after meeting, and they were like in 10 to 5 minute increments of different projects and things he was doing throughout his entire day from sun up to sundown, different project, different call, different thing. And he was able to organize and keep it all very relative and in front of him. And that just takes so much talent and ability and practice. I would say start to practice the ability to juggle as many things as you can in the air, to have as many opportunities spread out so that you have a lot of options in front of you. So always prospect from multiple angles and avoid putting all of your energy into just one thing. Try and spread it out and still maximize keeping your eggs in maybe a main basket, but also have little side options and things you can do and build along the way. The other thing I really liked is that in all of his deals, he listened to the people. He listened to taxi drivers, to janitors, to garbage men, to the waiters and waitresses. He listened to the people and gave them what they wanted and made it even grander and better than they could have imagined. And he fixed little problems, focusing on the small things based on listening to the people that he was working with or for, or people in the city that are talking about real estate. Instead of reading a magazine or an article about the city and the good attractions and how good the land is, he would go there and he would just ask the people, "Hey, how do you like this city? How do you like the town? How do you feel like the community is?" And he would listen, he would gather data from real people. Use that, and then in sales, just use this as the ability to ask and then actively listen. Watch for responsiveness, and I promise you, you're gonna gain trust from the prospect by the ability to listen and diagnose what this customer perceives as valuable. Principle 5 is going to be to never settle for second best. And Russell Brunson shares a quote. I think it's from Dan Kennedy, so it's been quoted multiple times, but there is no strategic advantage in being the second best or being the second highest price. If you're going to go big and be the absolute best highest version of whatever it is you're trying to do, be the premium, be the elite, because that's where you're going to get actual traction. When he was building Trump Hotel, he made it the grandest, the biggest, the most spacious, the most pretty, the most gold as he possibly could to make it a high end, valuable product. There is strategic value in being the best of the best. And the last principle I really want to hit right now, weaving through all of these different stories through real estate deals and different transactions and ways that he lived his life. I thoroughly did enjoy this book and I did learn a lot from it. But overall, it's about the character that it takes to grow a big business and to grow as a real estate mogul and basically just to become the best version of yourself. Are you going to become the next Donald Trump? Probably not. But you can become the best sales rep through persistence and hands on leadership. It doesn't have to be leadership for other people, but self leadership comes number one, and then leadership for others around you through this active listening and persistence. So, Trump, he manages dozens of calls at once, all of the site visits, and he was a very busy person. We can see that right now, that he's also still very busy. He's present, relentless, and able to adjust and take different angles. He's the pro in negotiation because he minimizes the downside, maximizes potential opportunity, and finds a win win scenario for all parties involved through his relentless effort of listening and leadership. Closing takeaways be that success does not come from perfect conditions, it comes from persistent adaptability, being adaptable and owning 100% responsibility for whatever situation that you're in. So, to end everything with this, again, hate him or love him, he had a lot of good life principles and a lot of philosophies that obviously made him very successful. Number one is to think big, protect your downside, lead with relentless effort. That's how you win on a repeatable scale. If you're a high level sales rep, even when the deck is stacked against you, you can use these principles to win. So, if you want to lead like this, go ahead and join the MindFit Sales School community, completely free. I'd love to show you some more sports psychology tactics and abilities to dream big.